So I'm Lee Kellogg, and welcome again for another nature journaling adventure. And today we are exploring a few roadside flowers because that's where I seem to find a lot of them. Find many in the greenbelt areas in our neighborhood, but then I also see many more along the roads. And this is because the roads wash out, a lot of the water washes into the ditches along the road. So we have these sort of ditches that have been dug and not really maintained. So they sort of fill in, and then the vegetation fills in, and they are a haven for flowers. So let's go explore. So one of our first yellow daisy-like flowers from the composite family is in bloom. And this is an early one for the yellow flowers as they go here in the Southwest. We tend to get a lot of yellow flowers blooming in the fall, in August, September, and I call it yellow flower season because it seems like everything is yellow. And we just had a thunderstorm and the sun is back out after this wonderful sky clearing, cleared all the dust away, and it smells so good. So here we are looking at not our first yellow flower of the season, because we looked at the vetch the other day with yellow flowers, or a couple episodes back, but this is our first daisy one. So there's a couple of plants here. The orange is what we're looking at. That is a mallow, and it is a common one along the roadside here. The sort of clovery one that you see in the left side of the screen now is actually alfalfa, and that is a visitor from the days when this was a cattle ranch. And so obviously they brought feed out for the cattle, and in the form of hay, which is alfalfa, and it readily reseeded, but it's only found along the sides of the road where there's a little more moisture than there is, say, on the green belts. And there's more mallow growing along the side of the road. Take two. So here we have another roadside flower. And as I said, we get quite a few. We see a lot of flowers along the road. These guys are in little mound, not quite mounds, but little clumps. And I've got a section here of about 5 or 6 feet of them. And they do spread quite a bit. I wouldn't even put them in the weed category because they're sort of pleasant. They don't produce anything obnoxious. And you can see here that we have a little, their flowers are little, you know, about fingertip size, orangey, creamsicle-y color, and they grow up on these stalks, and those are blossoms to come. So another fun little one. And that's what we have, what I call, sort of like roadside treasures is what I would call it around here. That you have to sort of look while you walk, and walk while you drive, or you're out on your bikes to see what's blooming on the roadsides. And this is true anywhere in the world. Don't forget to look and see what's growing along the side of the road, because sometimes they get more moisture, or it's a little different environment there than you would expect in the surrounding area. As with most wildflowers, they tend to grow in groups, and even though they may be commonly found in a variety of areas, or in my neighborhood, this is a verbena, a nice purple verbena. It is commonly found in my neighborhood. This is like the largest grouping of verbena I have seen this spring so far, and I was driving home, so I had to stop and record this because this is just like amazing that there's some right here. There's like none on my street right now. And so this is what I've been looking for, and I'm thrilled that we've got all this verbena just right here, this big purple clump, all in bloom. What we're looking at today is rabbit brush, and locally in the Southwest it's known as chamisa, which is the Spanish name for it, but it's commonly found throughout the West, the arid West, and known as rabbit brush. And this particular one I noticed a couple weeks ago had some caterpillars on it. They are these black things here, these black little almost at a distance look like bird turds sort of thing, but they are caterpillars that are just all over this bush. And I was really confused. I was like, God, I only see them on this bush, and what is it? Well, it turns out they are the larva of a beetle, and that they do tend to feed on the larva. The caterpillar stage tends to feed on the chamisa, and usually not with much damage to the chamisa at all. The other thing you will notice on this chamisa is, or rabbit brush as it is the galls. There's some galls here. So we've got the sun, there's a couple of galls, and a lot of our rabbit brushes have these little galls. And I was like, well, are these two related? Is this the same as the caterpillars, the beetles doing this? So there's some more galls on this rabbit brush. And the answer is no. The galls are a little fly, like a little fruit fly type thing that lays its eggs sort of in a little area on the bush, and the galls tend to form. And this is actually quite common in the plant insect world. When I was growing up in the Pacific Northwest, we had, in the Willamette Valley in Oregon, we had Oregon white oaks that always had, they call them wasp galls, and we called them little puff balls as kids, because when the leaves fell in the fall, we would pop them because they were fun to just, they sort of popped, you know, it was a kid thing. So anyway, there we are. It's a beetle. So here we're looking at my journal page from just a couple of the flowers on that we saw along the road. And I did the Scarlet Mallow, which was the low mounding orangey one. And then the New Mexico Groundsel, which was sort of, it was about 12 inches high, 12 to 14 inches high, a little one that we saw, and yellow flowers. And so the New Mexico Groundsel is common throughout the state. In fact, both of these flowers are very common. The Scarlet Mallow is common throughout the Southwest. And the New Mexico Groundsel is common, but not frequently seen in my neighborhood. So, you know, sort of interesting what you find. So there's the journal page for these two flowers. Take maybe a final. I'm Lee Kellogg, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned a little bit. I hope you had some fun exploring my neighborhood, looking at the roadside flowers, and we will be back later in the season looking at more roadside flowers because they are just starting to come out and starting to bloom. So remember to, one, click the subscribe button down below in YouTube, and click the notification so that you know when I post a new video. And thank you so much. And if you want more occasional emails, subscribe to my newsletter. You can find it at lee@leekellogg.com, or that's my email, or naturejournalingtours.com. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.